Today we ask a question that has become central to Indian politics. Are defections becoming the new route to power? And what do voters really think about politicians switching parties after getting elected? Over the last few years, Indian politics has witnessed several high-profile defections, government collapses and political realignments reshape. Supporters call it political freedom, critics call it betrayal of the public mandate, but where do voters stand? Let's begin with the most basic question. How do voters view politicians changing parties after being elected? Nearly 68% respondents say party switching is wrong and unethical, while only 16% consider it acceptable. And when voters look at the law that is supposed to stop defections, they don't seem impressed. More than 62% say the current anti-defection law is weak, while barely 11% believe it is strong. That suggests a growing demand for stronger safeguards against political crossing. But interestingly, voters also want elected representatives to exercise independent judgment in some situations. Nearly 57% say MLAs should be allowed to vote according to their conscience in Rajya Sabha elections rather than strictly follow party instructions. Now comes the key question. What should happen when an MP or MLA wants to leave the party that got them elected? A massive 66% say the representatives should first resign the seat and then join another party. Only 16% support using the two-third merger provision. If a legislator resigns, should there be a fresh election? More than 82% support a by-election in some form. Nearly half support the current system, while 35% want the cost of the by-election recovered from the resigning MP or MLA. But should defectors be allowed to contest the by-election they trigger? Here, voters become stricter. 46% say they should not be allowed to contest again, while 38% say let them. And what about the future elections? Will voters reward party switchers? The answer appears to be no. More than 62% say they would not support a politician who changes parties after getting elected. So why do voters think like this? Why do voters think politicians switch parties in the first place? The findings are striking. 56% believe defections are driven by personal financial gains or inducements. Taken together, the survey paints a remarkable consistent picture. Voters overwhelmingly dislike defection. So as we debate defection under BJP rule, the larger question is not just what politicians think, but what India thinks. Let me straight away go to Amitabh Tiwari first. Very striking data. But what I want to know is, politicians work under public pressure. If there is public pressure, why are so many defections taking place? When this data tells me that people don't like defections.
No, essentially we have to understand why there is a lot of curiosity and discussions on defections. Whatever vote a candidate gets, 1/3 of it, the thumb rule is 1/3 of it is due to the party symbol, 1/3 due to the party leadership, which is state or national, and 1/3 due to his own charisma, popularity, etc. Now, we have seen that the number of independents winning in Lok Sabha election or even Vidhan Sabha elections is getting smaller by the day, which means that any MP or MLA who is winning, large contribution is due to the leadership, national or state, and the party symbol. And that is why if a person is elected on the basis largely of the party symbol and the leadership, if he or she wants to resign, then naturally the people or an overwhelming majority feel that they should resign first and then move to a new party. And in fact, people also believe that in some cases they should not be allowed to contest at all because they have entered into a 5-year agreement. It's a contract, sort of a contract with the voters, that they will be representing this constituency on this particular symbol. But despite this, as you mentioned, why is this happening? Okay, the answer also is largely in the survey itself because of aligning with parties in power, because of maybe some inducements, pressure, some financial gains, which there have been allegations all about also.
Straight away go to Professor Ashwini Kumar sir. Let's see this data in the context of what is happening today. Let's marry it with the let's marry the data with the Ground Act. What has been the Ground Act? Sir, Punjab is where the Aam Aadmi Party split, and in West Bengal where the TMC completely split. I'm not going into other cases right now because these parties were ideologically opposed to Bharatiya Janata Party. You wrote a very interesting article. You said that what is happening should be seen from the framework of either the integrative dominance of Bharatiya Janata Party or the continuation of the competitive coalition politics of the previous 25 years. So my question to you, Professor, is, are we seeing a reset of the Indian political system where last 25 years were upward of Indian politics, where you had two party systems, and we go back to 1971 where we have one hegemonic dominant party and multiple small or smaller parties like Jana Sangh of 1960s or Swatantra Party of 1960s or left parties of 1960s who ranged between 25 to 39 MPs barring the 67 MPs of Swatantra Party, if I am not wrong, in 67.
Yeah.
So that's my question to you, sir.
Karthike, I think, this is if you look at India's evolution at this juncture, although BJP, if you look at the seat, I mean, like simply just go by the seat, in the 2024 elections, they don't have full majority. But if you look at the structure of the BJP dominance, it has clearly emerged as the dominant system. I'm using again and again, whenever I come to your channel, reminding my great teacher, legendary Professor Kothari's idea of a system dominant party, in the largest sense. So that's happening. On the other hand, if you look at the rise of Vijay, I mean, like in Tamil Nadu, that also suggests that somehow, the powerful regional political parties will continue to remain, if not dominant, but competitive. So what is happening here? It is creating a fluid, sense of politics and also creating, remarkably, very important democratic paradox. That's how I'm looking at the data, On the one hand, if you look at Karthike, and I look at how Amitabh, eloquently explained it, the voters are rejecting what political scientists call surrogate representation. If A is elected on the platform of a party B, then it should remain with that, that's the old idea of, delegate party theory or representation, That has somehow, come to the play here. So voters by and large India, if you look at, suggesting to us that don't do this, surrogate representation in this kind of, multi-party BJP dominant system. Let me phrase it this way. Multi-party competitive regional system, dominant, led by dominant BJP. So in this sense, I'm reminded of, also, my own works on anti-defection, etc., etc. I'm also thinking about JP, also thinking about Edmund Burke. What will happen to the legislator? Are legislators becoming captive and political, prisoners of the party? I mean, that's a huge democratic paradox issue. So, and on the other hand, if you look at, I'm just suggesting, I'm looking at the trend that has happened in Brazilian and dominant, what we call central politics. So if you look at Shiv Sena, Sinde, and if you look at, other smaller groups like TMC, today in the Lok Sabha, they have 30 plus, So that's something like what has happened in Brazil in the comparative politics context, central politics. That becomes transactional, pragmatic bloc, de-ideological bloc, focusing more on, serving the people.